Hello, and welcome to the next section, 9.6 or 9-6, perfect squares and factoring. And I just want to give you just a little quick example or definition here of what perfect square trinomial is going to be. And then it's kind of a model more or less that's set up. And then I'll go over some examples of factoring these. We'll just work on that today, and then the next section we'll actually go through and solve those. So anyway, perfect square trinomial, just to give you a quick example, it's going to be in this form. All right, first term you've got a squared. Second term would be like plus 2ab, and the third term is b squared. So it's going to be either like this type of format, or you got a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. So there's only difference on that is that you either got a positive or this first one is negative, and either way the second ones are both going to be positive. So here's your trinomials. And this is just going to be, I just want to give you an example. This is just a model to start with of what these would be factored. Okay, so if I take this first one, all I want to look at to see if it's a perfect square trinomial is if I can factor it that way. And that is if I can take the square of the first one, which would just be a, the square root of a squared is going to be a. Second one is b squared. Take the square root of b squared, which would just be b. And then if you multiply it by 2, you get this middle term. So let me say that again. Square root of first one plus, or actually, yeah, you can multiply it or divide it. Square root of the first one plus the square root of the second one, which is going to be ab, multiplied by 2. And if that's this middle term, then it's a perfect square trinomial. You can factor it that way. So this factored is a plus b, and it's a quantity a plus b. Or you could just write it a plus b quantity squared. And likewise, it's the same for this one. If I take the square root of this, it's just going to be a. Square root of this one is b squared is just b. If I multiply those together, or add them together, you got a b, and then multiply it by 2. And if you end up with this middle term, then again, it's going to be the perfect square. So again, take the first one, take the square root of the first term, square root of the last term, and then you have ab, multiply it by 2, and if that's that center term, then again you're going to have perfect square that can be factored. All right. And the only difference is that because this is a minus and this is a plus, you have a minus b and a minus b. Or a minus b, because they're both the same thing, a minus b, and that quantity is going to be squared. So this is going to be the form that's going to be in, but let me go over a couple examples just so we know what to expect on homework assignment. All right, here we go. $16. I'll call that a squared minus 24a plus 9. All right, so first of all, look at this as far as factoring these. And we could factor up, just in the same way that we had before. We could do 16 times 9 and then look for 2 factors of that product of there. But anyway, if this is some, a unique trinomial, we could just take some shortcuts. 16a squared, the square root of that is just going to be 4a, right? 9, the square root of 9 is just going to be 3. So here I'm just going to make a little notation. You got 4a, this one, the square root of 9, is just going to be 3. All right, 4a times 3 is 12. Multiply that by 2 or just double it, and that's 24a. So yes, this is a perfect square trinomial and it can be factored because the first term is negative, second term is positive, and it needs to follow that same exact format. You can have 4a minus 3, 4a minus 3. Follows that pattern, or just 4a minus 3 quantity squared. If you're not sure again on your answer, check your work by using FOIL. Do 4a times 4a, right? 16a squared. 4a times negative 3 is negative 12a. Negative 3 times 4a, negative 12a. Negative 3 times negative 3 plus 9. Negative 12a minus negative 12a. 16a squared minus 24a plus 9. This is just a check, and it does in fact check out. So we are good. We can be very confident just saying our factored trinomial is 4a minus 3 times 4a minus 3, or you could just say 4a minus 3 quantity squared. All right, let me do another example. And if you got this, I mean, you can just go ahead and get started with the homework assignments. All right, another example then. Let me do this. X squared plus 22x plus 121. All right, take a look at our problem that we've got. X squared plus 22x plus 121. Take the square of the first one, the square root of the first one. X squared is just going to be x. The square root of the second one, square root of 121 is 11. All right, multiply these two together. X times 11 is 11x times 2, 22x. All right, this is kind of things you can do in your head. I'm just writing it down just to show you what our thought process is. 22x, after I get this, it matches what's inside in the middle here. So then this is going to be a perfect square trinomial. We can factor this easily using that format that we had learned just a minute ago. They're both positive, so x plus 11. That's where we got these. X plus 11. You can leave it as this, or x plus 11 squared. And again, if you're not sure, check your work using FOIL. X times x is x squared. X times 11, 11x. 11 times x, another 11x. 11 times 11, 121. Combine your middle terms and you have 22x. We are all good on this. I can do more examples if you need me to. Just come to our Zoom meeting and we'll handle those in there. On the homework assignment, worksheet 553, I want to remind you that not all of the trinomials are going to be factored with this. There are some that are prime. I will actually tell you number 7 and number 12 are prime. Everything else can be factored, but not all of them can be factored like this. And number 9 cannot be factored like this, and neither can number 8 or number 4. Same way with 11 and 15. The rest can be factored like this. All right, come to the Zoom meeting if you have any questions or if you need me to do more examples. Thank you.